One after another, they took a pass. So, will there be a viable third-party candidate after no labels, by its own admission, couldn't find one to challenge Joe Biden and Donald Trump? More than a dozen said no.
Well, let me say it's not for lack of trying, that's for sure. And the shorter answer is that to field this ticket, No Labels was looking for a hero, and a hero never emerged.
That largely leaves Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, he may be all in, but his campaign is clearly challenged. Right now, he's only confirmed on one ballot in Utah, which is hardly a battleground state. And his campaign is being forced to disavow its own fundraising email, blaming the vendor for writing that January 6th insurrectionists are activists who were stripped of their constitutional liberties. The campaign says that contractor has been fired. But remember when Kennedy said this?
It was more dangerous to our republic. All of these, the yahoos who invaded, that building on January 6th, which, by the way, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? You can rebuild a Capitol. If you eliminate the Constitution, there's really nothing left of America.
Do you characterize January 6th as an insurrection? Is that a word you would use?
I don't know.
And Democrats were furious earlier this week when Kennedy said Biden is a bigger threat to democracy than Trump is. NBC's Garrett Haake is reporting from Washington, D.C. Also with us, NBC senior politics reporter Alex Seitzwald and former RNC chair Michael Steele, an MSNBC political analyst. Alex, what's the latest fallout from this fundraising email, and how's the campaign positioning itself now? Now they know No Labels is out.
Well, Chris, as you said, the campaign is distancing itself or disavowing this fundraising email after we published it, blaming it on a contractor, saying it was an error and that it doesn't reflect Kennedy's view. But this is calling attention to his long history of comments on January 6th that show it's not that far off from his views on January 6th. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has talked about that he would consider pardoning January 6ers if he was elected president. He's kind of downplayed the attack, as you played, saying, we can rebuild the Capitol, but what Joe Biden has allegedly done in censoring speech with social media, he's kind of suggested that's worse. There's a couple that hosted a fundraiser for him that is tied to January 6ers and a lot of right-wing conspiracy theorists. His own communications director for his campaign spoke at a side rally on January 6th. So this is kind of, what some people call the horseshoe theory of politics, where you go on the far left and you go on the far right, kind of wraps around. It's this conspiracy theory thinking that is the hallmark of RFK's entire adult life, where he sees these big forces arrayed against him, and it seems to at least think that some of these January 6ers have been victims, in a way, of the government overreach.
Garrett, what are you hearing in Biden or in Trump world? Are they concerned about RFK Jr.?
They are, but at different degrees and for different reasons. And the Biden world is basically trying to nuke RFK out of this race. Remember, RFK was originally running in the Democratic primary, but finding little success there, he decided to mount this independent campaign. Now the Biden universe, if you will, is standing up multiple super PACs that could potentially go after RFK. They've got staffers at the DNC who are detailed specifically to trying to neutralize him. They're acting as though they are quite concerned about the effect he could have in the fall. The Trump campaign is responding to RFK largely the same way it responds to everything, through the former president's Truth Social account, in which he attacks RFK, but he also makes the point of trying to paint RFK as a liberal. So if he can kind of lower the relative damage that RFK does to anybody, great. And if he can paint him as a liberal, and maybe that gets some actual liberals to pay attention to him, and he hurts Biden more than he hurts Trump, even better.
So, Michael, RFK has this Democratic name, right? But many of the ideas he's criticized for are Trumpian. Is his power potentially in this race that, I don't know, most people don't even know what he stands for, or they simply want anyone but the two nominees, both? What do you think?
They know what he stands for. This is not an unintelligent voting population out here looking at this man or looking at this race. They know exactly what he stands for, and they don't align with it. Look, Kennedy is still running as a Democrat. How do I know? Well, he's only attacking one person in the race, and that's Joe Biden. He's still trying to peel off those votes from the center left and the far left. So that's that. The other part of this is this race, certainly with him in it, does eat into Joe Biden. So they have a right to be concerned about that. But the reality of it is there is no there there. The reality of it is he will not be the next president of the United States. He will not come close to, should he stay in this race, come close to anywhere near where Ross Perot put up a good fight against George Bush Sr. in '92. So we need to keep real eyeglasses on about this. The political consequences are real, and he hurts Joe Biden more than he hurts Donald Trump. And that's just the political reality of it. And then you have No Labels. Well, that was the biggest waste of $80 million to ruin a brand I've ever seen. All of us were warning that this was going to end this way, and yet donors still continued to give to a narrative that was not real. It was not based in reality, just like RFK's campaign is not based in the reality. Y'all know his whole family is against his race, right? So that should tell you anything and
pretty passionately against it, too, Michael.
Yes.
So, I mean, here's the deal, though. Like we said, he's only confirmed on one ballot, but his campaign and the PAC supporting him say they have signatures to get him on about half a dozen other states. I mean, in this race, though, he would only need to get on one battleground state, right, and get enough votes that potentially, Michael, it could swing it.
Yeah, I guess. On paper, we could write that down. You still got to run a campaign. You still got to live in the political world. You got to live in the reality that you're going to have a campaign that is well over close to $200 million today, will be in excess of $1 billion plus by the time you get to September. That's going to unleash unholy hell on your campaign between now and then. So it doesn't matter what battleground state you're on. You still got to run a race against a very, very strong incumbent president and against a very, very strong Republican candidate. And so the reality of it is, while the voters may pine for someone other than Joe Biden and Donald Trump, RFK Jr. ain't it. No Labels just proved that point. They were going after sensible, not radical, crazy, anti-vax kind of guys and couldn't get them. You mean the country's going to go, oh, yeah, give me double down crazy over here? No, I just don't see that playing out. So it doesn't matter what battleground state he's on. He still has got to run a race against a very big and troubling gauntlet for him politically. And I just don't see him eating out any electoral votes that's going to change the game for either one of these candidates.
Yeah, and it run against an incumbent with an awful lot of money. So, Garrett, what's with No Labels now? I mean, are they going to do anything? Do they still have money in the bank? Where does this leave them?
It's a great question, Chris, because they do still have money and they do still have ballot access in somewhere around 20 states around the country. They're not going to field a candidate nationally, but it's not hard to imagine somebody trying to find their way onto that No Labels line. I mean, Michael kind of touched on this, but I think they sort of misjudged a part of the moment here. There is so much dissatisfaction around the country with the two major party candidates who are going to be on the ballot for sure this fall. But the idea that in a country that is as polarized as this one, a Democrat and a Republican would be able to lock arms in the middle. I mean, imagine folks who might have disparate views on something like abortion, somebody who's more of an abortion rights advocate and somebody who's not, saying for the good of the country, we're going to run together. Who does that actually work for at the end of the day? And so here you've got basically the political equivalent of a loaded gun left sort of sitting around on the desk here. Ballot access, money, and nobody knows exactly what to do with it. It's sort of still dangerous just sitting there, but in and of itself, it does nothing.
Michael, having interviewed you so many times, when I heard this news about No Labels, I could hear you saying, yeah, no kidding.
Exactly. The biggest I told you so on the planet right now. It's crazy.
Michael Steele, Garrett, Alex, you guys are great. Thank you. Much appreciated. Have a good weekend.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.